Joining us now is Anieze Osakwe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Annie.
Hello. Good morning to all of you. How's everyone?
Very well, very well.
Good morning, Annie from Anambra.
Yes.
From Ogidi?
Yes, correct.
Idibili.
North. Exactly.
That's it.
We love it. We love it.
Exactly.
From the famous town of Ogidi, the town of the legendary Chinua Achebe.
Absolutely.
And his wife
Quite a
turned
privilege.
90 on the 2nd of August, 2024.
So,
Professor Mrs. Christy Chinwe Achebe.
Ogidi has a way of producing superstars.
Yes.
I agree.
We have high expectations.
I choose to fear.
Yes.
Very big shoes to fill. All right, so today we are kicking off what's trending in Niger State, where the First Lady, Remi Tinubu, touched down just yesterday, providing 1 billion naira in funding for housing and personal supplies for the flood victims, communities impacted by bandit attacks, and fire disasters as well. So here she is, arriving in the state, and this is, another example of a major donation from her office to communities in need. The First Lady was joined by wives from different states, including Nasarawa, Taraba, Bayelsa, Ogun State, and more, as well as wives of senators and security chiefs. The purpose of this visit was to stand in solidarity with communities affected by a number of recent tragedies in the region. So the First Lady has also just launched a 1 billion naira empowerment program for 18,500 women. So, we'll start off this first topic, and I'll put this to you, Dr. Abati, because I think that we've seen a lot of reports recently about how the First Lady has donated billions and billions of naira to different communities, to different women's groups, which is great. But I guess the bigger picture, the bigger question here is, at what point should we be expecting government entities, government agencies stepping in to fill this need, as opposed to just one woman?
Okay, no. The basic principle is that the effort of the First Lady is complementary. And we have had cause on this table to commend her, to say, well, she's very supportive of her husband. In the larger Nigerian community, people have raised questions that where is this money coming from? Because she's now a serial billionaire. Where there is any problem, Mrs. Tinubu will suddenly arrive with the Renewed Hope Initiative, and the Renewed Hope Initiative is always donating money in billions, and also other things, included, whether it's in Benue, or it's in Plateau, or it's in Nasarawa, or it's in other states of the Federation in the South. And the question that the people have asked, Mrs. Tinubu herself has had cause to respond to it, to say that the Renewed Hope Initiative, which she runs, in collaboration with the wives of the governors, gets a lot of donation. So there seems to be a lot of, generosity towards that particular initiative. On the basis of which I once suggested on this table that perhaps, in another life, Mrs. Ekpeyang, sitting to my right, may consider the ambition of being a First Lady, and that Ojinika Ojiope may also consider becoming a First Lady. And you that you are here at present company, what we have seen with the example of Mrs. Tinubu is that the position of the First Lady is quite a very lucrative, very productive, one. However, as to the Nigerians who say, you have to explain where this money is coming from. She too has also said that everywhere she donates, it's about transparency and accountability. And that issue came up recently, I think, in 1 or 2 states, Plateau particularly. So this is the contest. However, to the poser that you raised, it is still the primary responsibility of the Nigerian government to ensure the security and welfare of the Nigerian people as stated in Section 14, Sub 2 of the Constitution. Nigerians should not depend on charity, not on philanthropy when there is disaster. Today is flood, tomorrow is a security problem. The Nigerian government should make this place so safe that we will not be at the mercy of the empathy, the commitment, the solidarity, the wifely diligence of the wife of the president of Nigeria. This environment should be safe for all of us. That, in my view, are the basic issues. In addition to the fact that we have always commended her that yes, it's good for her to support her husband. But the bigger issue is that government must do its work at all levels, federal and subnational.
I'd like to commend her, because she doesn't just bring the wife of the president heir. Mary Remi Tinubu is way more than that. She was former senator in this country. And she's a woman that has done a lot in the charity space. And you can see there's been less wife drama in the villa because the way she has conducted herself. I mean, we can go on and open the book of history to tell you how much wife drama we used to have in the villa at some point. But we Remi Tinubu know, because she was a frontline politician before now, and she knows the essence of support for her husband. But people also have a need to raise alarm. And concerning this donation, Remi Tinubu is still a private citizen. It's just because she's married to the president, that's why there's a lot of scrutiny on it. I think what I would want Remi Tinubu to do, to be able to silence all these naysayers, is to release the audited report of this her charity that will involve how much she's getting and how much she's deploying, to be able to give empirical facts to silence everybody that comes out that wants to, see things to tarnish this heart of milk and honey she has. Because, in all fairness, like you say, yes, the government should play a very strong role in catering to those people. But she has also played a very prominent role, and that's as a result of the heart she has. So I would like to implore her. She's not obligated to do it. She's a private citizen. But she should also maybe go one step further just to show these people, like, where did she get money? Release an audited report of the activities of the charity, including monies that are coming in, what's in there, so that they'll be able to know that it's out of the milk and kindness of her heart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, moving on, let's go to Lagos, where NAFDAC, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, is deep in the middle of what they're calling targeted nationwide operations. Their goal is to get rid of dangerous goods that are in circulation as we speak to protect public health and ensure compliance with regulatory standards. It comes after announcing yesterday that they confiscated products worth over 1.5 billion naira that were either banned, expired, or unregistered at the Lagos Trade Fair market. These are just some of the products they seized as shared on the agency's official X profile. And take a look at this next video. You can see sea salt. They found coconut oil, sunflower oil, which on the label says 100% pure refined, and a number of everyday other household projects. All of these products you see were seized. They also found multiple warehouses stocked with different unregistered consumer goods, including cosmetics and food items, without proper labeling or expiry dates. They even intercepted a trailer carrying cosmetics. Apparently, the driver fled from the scene, but the trailer was secured by NAFDAC personnel. This operation comes shortly after similar raids in Alapere, Onitsha, Rivers, and more, where they found expired food additives, tomato paste, fake chemicals, and pharmaceuticals or drugs. And at this point, NAFDAC is making it pretty clear that this last raid is part of a broader campaign to disrupt networks moving fake products across the country. And what's key here is the use of the word network. The fact that this is not just, one isolated incident, but it's part of a larger nationwide scheme, and these products are finding their way into other people's homes across the country. So, maybe Rufai or Vimbai, I'd like to take your reaction on this.
Let me step in very quickly. First of all, I'm very excited that we're leading with women today, because Professor Adeyeye is doing the Lord's work when NAFDAC is concerned. It's a tall order that she has, that she's standing in front of, daunting task, but I love that she's boldly taking it on. Now, there's so many things to consider here. Number one, we have to remember that we're in a period of economic downturn. So besides fake products, which I'll address shortly, expired products are on the rise because things are on the shelves. People don't have money to buy. So you find that there are more and more expired products on the shelves. And how will these people, especially the ones who are importing, how will they restock? It's totally unethical what they're doing. Well, not to mention that it's illegal. But if you're looking at it from a pragmatic perspective, they're saying we have this stock, it's not moving. It has expired. Yes, the responsible outlets will put it aside, maybe if it's close to expiry date and sell it at a discount. But we're seeing less and less of that because the margins are slim now. These sectors are struggling. It's tough. So not to exonerate them, but I think it's also just a call to the public to be careful when you're shopping now because there's so many expired goods simply because things are not moving the way they used to. Now, this takes us to the alternative that those illegal actors are turning to, which is fake products. Now, fake products are dangerous, they are harmful. I mean, we're coming from this scourge. Earlier in the year, there was a big bust on fake medicine, expired medicine, and so forth. And it's so unfortunate that this is what society has come to, that we're ready to poison ourselves. We're ready to poison our neighbors, our friends. The same people you're saying you want to patronize your business, and you're selling them poison, because that's what fake products are, in essence. They're created with inferior formulas. Sometimes they add various additives to them so that they can maybe stay longer and so forth. But it's harmful and it's dangerous. So seeing this bust totally lifts my heart. It's unfortunate, again, that we're in this economic downturn, but it still goes back to government, unfortunately, where we say to government, okay, fine. This is the situation at hand. We know that trading consists of a very big part of our economic activities. What are the interventions that we are putting on the ground to support traders during this period so they can stabilize? We had Professor Ekwo just now who was saying that, yes, we can argue that the exchange rate is now stable, but stable at what value and at what cost? And how is it impacting people's businesses? So great work for me personally from NAFDAC to have all these terribly dangerous things out of circulation. However, it doesn't address the fundamental problem, which is that businesses are struggling to make ends meet.
Okay, I think we should encourage NAFDAC to remain very vigilant, whether it's in the Onitsha market or at the Lagos Trade Fair market, because the main issue that NAFDAC is talking about, Food and Drug Administration, is about safety, public safety. When people take expired products, whether medicine or foods, they are put in the line of danger. So, again, what is reiterated is the importance of that particular agency. And the more they can carry out, all these sting operations, the better. The second part is about moral turpitude. This life has become so desperate, so short, so brutish, so impossible, difficult in this country that these same people who dispense fake drugs, fake food items and all that, it's not as if they don't know that what they are doing is wrong. If you go to the mosque on Friday, they are all there. If you go to the church on Sunday, they are all there. But this country has a moral crisis whereby the people no longer care just to survive in this pressure cooker style environment in which we have found ourselves. They will sell poison even to a fellow human being. So we need a moral reorientation so that Nigerians can behave like human beings, so that they can love their neighbor as themselves. The man running a small pharmacy who is selling fake drugs, who is selling fake baby formula, because he wants to survive, what kind of person is that? He wants to survive, but he wants to kill other people. So there's a need for this national reorientation. The third part, of course, is that government has a responsibility to create an environment where people can be human, where people can be citizens, where people can, bridge that gap between public morality and private morality. They go to church, they say one thing. They go to mosque, they say another thing. When they come to the public space, how they behave is totally different. We need a country that has citizens. Most of the people in this country are not citizens. They're just people trying to survive.
Interesting. So now we were just talking about, citizens in one place. People on social media are reacting to a member of the House of Representatives, the Honorable Kabiru Mai Palace, and his alleged decision to launch a rehabilitation of cemeteries in Gusau and Shafe local governments in Zamfara state. In pictures reposted on X by the Lawmaker, a user notes a cemetery renovation project with the Honorable Mai Palace present to ensure the project's progress. Another post on the Lawmaker's account shared these pictures, saying that the Lawmaker visited this cemetery to encourage the people working on the cemetery's renovation. But in a post on X this morning, Kabiru denies saying he is fixing 80 cemeteries in his local government area, saying, in my constituency, both Gusau and Shafe have not had more than 20 cemeteries. Where did you get 80 cemeteries? Where did I write or mention this as my constituency project? It comes after a lot of backlash to the possibility of funding this cemetery renovation project, with one user saying, so he prefers to benefit the dead more than the living, despite the hunger and insecurity in the state. Another tweet saying, why not the hospitals and schools? One final user says, 80 cemeteries renovated in just one zone of a state that has 3 or more such zones. Truly, people in Zamfara are dying from hunger and insecurity. So I think, the reason why we're bringing the story to you today is because this lawmaker this morning is refuting these claims that he launched this renovation of 80 cemeteries. But Rufai, and I'll put this to you, the conversation around whether he did or he didn't goes to show just how much people are invested in what their representatives are or aren't doing in their government areas.
Oh, yes, because that's the closest to the people. And you see, that's why I've always said this constituency project thing is a sham. What's my reference point? ICPC did a report about 4 years ago where they discovered that most of the so-called constituency projects were sham. During COVID-19, you remember, people stormed homes of these lawmakers and they looted this constituency project that was supposed to be for the people. They just store these things in their warehouses. This year alone, budget did a report saying over 11,000 constituency projects were highlighted. They're going to cost over 6 trillion. There were a lot of phony projects there. Some people have even argued that some lawmakers get billions in these constituency projects. To do what? To fix cemeteries. Sorry, did he say the picture is AI? Can the producer show the picture again?
No, it's not AI. I think he was...
No. FEMA, where? FEMA. FEMA, where? Show me the picture again, please.
From his X profile this morning.
So let's see the project. FEMA, where? I cannot see a project citation there, in all fairness to him, where it has anything to do with graveyard. Though. So, but the graveyard of people is not supposed to be the concern of constituency lawmakers. But in all fairness to him, I've not seen a project disposition that shows that they were fixing graveyards. I don't know. Mm-hmm. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have facts, I don't like to say. But the disposition is supposed to be the impact in the lives of the people. You've talked about schools. See, over 80, close to 80% of the primary healthcare center in this country are in a terrible position. Schools, equally worse off. Insecurity is so rife. 150 people were collectively kidnapped in Zamfara. They are negotiating their release as we speak. So you can see the kind of play that goes on. And that's why I've totally been against this constitution. There's no how the lawmakers are. I believe what they should do is, you can still have that money, but set up an impact mechanism in this committee where the people in the committee or the communities vote. We can even start it with a website or something. where people in 774 local government and communities, towns of communities in Nigeria, they can vote on the projects they want, and the impact committee will put a scale of preference to the project and get them done, rather than constituency project and you funnel it through a lawmaker. I have never always been in support of that, and I'll never be.
Okay, a footnote on the place of cemeteries. Cemeteries are, what do they call it, social space, which construct part of the history of the community. Now, cemeteries are a place of rest for the dead, and I think as part of the historiography of every basic community, cemeteries, in fact, should be taken care of. So although the lawmaker may say, well, I'm not doing constituency project in the cemetery, we should remind ourselves that the dead are part of the community of the living. Now, many years ago, 35 years ago, I wrote a PhD thesis, 36 years ago. I wrote a PhD thesis. One of the chapters was on thanatomimesis. So I had to do a lot of research into death and dying and places of burial and all of that. And I think that it's nothing to be ashamed of if you say, okay, you are trying to, take care of the dead. In some other societies, the space between the living and the dead, they are merged. That's why people go to cemeteries abroad, and they are going there, to have picnic, to read books and all of that, because it's part of the construction of memory, part of the process of a community's remembrance structure. So it's nothing to be ashamed of. If he has not done projects in the cemetery, he may consider it, or other lawmakers may consider that as part of this theoretical background that I have given.
Yes.
Wow. Definitely learned something there.
Although it was widely reported by several by several platforms that several credible platforms. I mean, he's refuted it, fine, but several credible platforms have reported on this issue.
If you don't understand sarcasm.
No, it's not sarcasm. No, I'm telling you about a subject that
I know it's a subject
I've done a lot of research into.
So, but as a governor, if you become a governor, you will renovate.
No, the living and the dead, must have this.
Just answer. As a governor, will you project or renovating cemetery?
Okay. We'll cut this conversation short.
I know, I'm not saying it, but as a governor, will you be able to show off that you are renovating cemetery?
We'll cut this short. And now, let's head to Abuja, where in a new speech, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, is encouraging women to remain united because come October, the House is set to vote on key constitutional amendment bills, including the Reserved Seats for Women bill. This is a bill that wants to increase women's representation in national and state houses of assembly by carving out dedicated seats for women. So in a post on Instagram, Deputy Speaker Kalu says that Nigeria is a nation of over 220 million people, 49% of whom are women. It is therefore an issue of concern that the number of women representation remains low. I therefore urge policymakers, political parties, media, and multiple stakeholders, irrespective of culture, tradition, religion, to see beyond the present and commit to a future where our democracy truly reflects our strength and diversity of our people. So he's referring to the fact that out of the 469 seats in the National Assembly, just 20 of them are held by women right now, which is about 4%. So according to the Deputy Speaker, this bill aligns with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's called on women's groups to reach out to relevant stakeholders to help move it forward. So I'll put this next topic to you, Vimbai. What is standing out to you here? And let's also discuss the feasibility of a bill like this, because October is basically around the corner.
Yeah, but, gosh, where do we begin? I think that there's nothing unfeasible about this bill. This is a feasible bill if the political will exists to get it done. If we could pass a bill for a new national anthem in 24 hours, there's no reason why we can't pass a bill that empowers women with reserved seats to ensure that we meet the global benchmark for female representation in elected offices. However, when we now start tagging it the Renewed Hope Agenda bill, there's concerns around that, because when this administration were campaigning, they promised us 30%, was it 30 or 35% seats of appointments would be reserved for women. We're yet to meet that benchmark. So I have concerns about, us politicizing this process. However, whatever the case may be, this is a noble cause. And truly women, not just women, he for she also need to come together to ensure that this is passed. Because when you look at what's happening in the rest of the world, just here in Africa, you look at Rwanda, you look at Kenya, you look at South Africa, even Zimbabwe adheres to reserved seats for elected women. It's extremely important. Now, what will then happen with regards to getting these women into the into the political space is another conversation we need to have. Yes, women have become much more financially empowered than we have been in a very long time. But the question is the playing field going to be the same as the men's playing field, where it's more of a money game, it's a resource game, where we see that it's brutish, it's violent, it's tough. I remember we had Senator Florence Itegewa come and speak on this bill because she's one of the people who's advocating for it. However, she still came down to the fact that, okay, how is it going to be any different when we look at godfatherism, when we look at the way our politics is done, especially when the election season comes about? Are we still going to get the best of the women coming in? Will they be prepared to get in and get dirty and go through the processes that men go through? So that still stands to be seen. However, that's a decision for women to make. I think the reserved seats should be there. We should continue to advocate for it. We should continue to stick together. We should move away and evolve from, the narrative used to be women are our own worst enemies. Sometimes when you interact with a woman, if you comment on her lipstick, and you say, what lipstick is that? She'll be like, I don't know. This is how competitive women can be with one another. It's good that we're migrating from that narrative, and we're now going to a place where we can stand together as a solid block. Mm-hmm. Recently in the Senate, we saw an incident with Senator Natasha, and it was unfortunate that we didn't see the women stand together. Mm. It was sad to see, because there's just 3 of them in that house, and yes, whether she was wrong or right is a different instance, but we would have at least expected the women to stand together in that moment. So I hope that even with these elected reserved seats, we can still see a degree of unity amongst the women.
One of the major issues in Nigerian politics is affirmative action from women. And since Beijing, and Beijing +5, and Beijing +10, Nigeria has been paying lip service to the empowerment of women. At a point, the PDP said they were going to give free forms to women. But other countries in Africa have done better than Nigeria in terms of affirmative action. Namely, Senegal, which is leading, Rwanda, South Africa, Malawi, and South Africa. I've mentioned South Africa and other countries that provide whether 15% or 20% for purposes of affirmative action. Now in Nigeria, a federal high court, ahead of the 2023 election, ruled in favor of Nigerian women. Do you know that the Nigerian government to date has refused to respect the ruling of the court? And now ahead of 2027 election, we're talking about affirmative action, reserving seats for women. I think the principle that people must understand is that Nigerian women constitute about 50% of the population of this country. And they have proven their mettle, either during the Abarayot or before then or after, in terms of contribution to this country. And they deserve to be properly integrated into the decision-making process in Nigeria, either at the private level or at the public level. Most recently, the ironic indication is that the women are doing very well in football. They just won 10 titles. They are doing well in basketball. They just won 7 titles. The men that we sent to Zanzibar to go and play football, they lost yesterday to Senegal. So women deserve their due in this country.
They will not collect money, don't worry. The men don't forget their own. Please, go ahead. You lose Ogbowoni, you are not collecting money. All
right, now for a milestone. Today we are remembering Dr. Doyin Abiola, who passed away late yesterday evening at the age of 82. Dr. Abiola was the wife of the late Chief MKO Abiola. She was the former managing director and publisher of National Concord and was also the first Nigerian woman to be an editor of a national Nigerian newspaper. She often used soft power to mobilize resources far and near, supported those in need, and was a recipient of multiple awards. With a career at the National Concord spanning 3 decades, her impact on the industry is still felt to this day. May her soul rest in peace. We'll take one more milestone and then we'll talk about it. So, all week we've been talking a lot about football. We've been talking about sports, our sporting greats and how the women have been showing up for the past week and their back-to-back wins. But this week is actually around the same time that 31 years ago, the Super Eagles, our men's football team, won Olympic gold. So we're about to show you some of the images from that historic match at the Atlanta Olympics in 1996. At this match, Nigeria became the first ever African country to win football gold at the Olympics. They even beat out Argentina and Brazil. To this day, this moment is still considered one of Nigeria's best football achievements in history. So do we have any time to, briefly discuss these 2 milestones?
Yes.
Losing Dr. Okay.
Yes, real quickly. As regards Mama Doyin Abiola, Dr. Doyin Abiola, best of memories. You see, what is formative is that she held her own at the highest height of journalism in this country. And she was a first-rated journalist even before she married MK Abiola. And this is in reaction to the point I think Dr. Mata was making, that maybe, by you marry you become first lady and all of that. For me, I'm a big feminist. And the truth is, I like women that hold their own any day, any time. Doyin Abiola was successful in media and will be successful anyway, even if she didn't marry MK Abiola. She was already a success in her own right. So, and that's the kind of strength she brought to the newsroom, and the Concord newspaper till date still holds a very reputable place in the history of journalism. I mean, you can see products of Concord everywhere. And that's what she stood for. And she was also a very supportive wife, to her husband. And I remember the day in 96 when we won. Oh my God, 2 a.m. in the morning, we're all out on the street dancing, celebrating. That celebration I'll never forget. People did not ask what tribe or place were you from. That day, we're all Nigerians. And we celebrated and we did so well. And that's the essence of this Nigerian spirit, a unity we should all come together for.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much, Annie. I think we've run out of time.
We have.
But all the subjects are well appointed. Thank you very much indeed.